Welcome to another triathlon podcast, the podcast that brings the electrifying world of triathlons right into your headphones. Journey into captivating conversations, share the excitement of race recaps, enjoy the humor only a triathlete would understand, and join us as we debunk myths and bring you the bare, thrilling truths of the triathlon world. So feel your heart pound, breathe in anticipation, and get ready to dive into the world of triathlon. This is another triathlon podcast. Enjoy the ride.
Here we are again with another triathlon podcast brought to you by Mana Apparel, and we have no shortage of things to chat about. The racing is fully on. This weekend was an absolute blast to follow all of it, from T100 to SuperTri Esports Championships, which I think fell off a few people's radars with everything else going on, but we will dive into all of it and get started. Bede is going to be joining us soon, but for now, it is myself and Josh. Josh, how are you doing? What's going on?
I'm doing great. Just finished a jam-packed week of kind of recovery training and then a weekend of Boston Marathon events and Mana Apparel and Team Mana events that we had organized here. So I was in the city Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and it's just a really cool time of the year to be a part of the endurance sport industry and being a part of all that this weekend and helping launch Human Powered Health's new testing facility. We're all big testing geeks. So it was like, and I knew what I was walking into, but I said to them, I was like, I didn't get a good picture of it in my head. And then you walk in and this place is like Mecca. I mean, it's like a triathlete's total Mecca. And everyone that we brought there is like, can't wait to come back and tell our friends about it. So it was an awesome event for Mana, awesome event for Human Powered Health and our partners with Wahoo and On. So really, really cool day on Saturday, and had a nice little 3-mile shakeout run with some of the local influencers and Peloton instructor there too. So just a great day.
So much fun to geek out with other people with endurance sports. Like, it's such a cool community. And the fun part is you're all just crazy enough to do endurance sports. You can just chat with anyone.
Absolutely. I mean, you look around the event and there's somebody with the mask on doing a VO2 max test. Somebody's on the kicker run. Like, oh my God, they're running 5:30 mile pace. And, and they're like, so I got on it and it's amazing. But then you go to free run and you pick up your pace and you're running in Zwift, and it's like you're going up the percentages and everything's erg mode, but you're running and you get faster and faster as your stride gets closer to the front of the machine and you pick it up. And the only way to slow it down is to kind of back off a little bit, literally physically back off towards the back of the treadmill. So it's like you go from a 6-minute pace and all of a sudden you move back a little bit and trust yourself and it'll start backing off. So I think it's one of those things that the more you use it, the better you'll get at it. And it was really cool to get on and test it out, and got to demo some new on cloud hypers, and walked away with a few new pairs of ons for my training for the rest of the year.
Can't help but once you're around, though, it's too easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I'd love to try that treadmill. It looks very, very cool what it's going to be capable of doing. Definitely next level to anything that's out there right now. Yeah,
for sure. It's the whole technology behind it and everything, talking to the team that was there. And the cool part is, I mean, we had this whole event planned and we knew we wanted to get some photography and social media coverage and things done for Human Powered Health in order for them to promote it. And Wahoo shows up with their whole videography crew. And like, all right, we're good. We're going to have some good coverage from this. So kudos to them. Great partner to work with and having their team there. And yeah, it was just a really successful event for everyone. And our guys, Matt and Nick, showed up after they had already done an 18-mile run, getting ready for Texas. So they and then they still got on the treadmills and tested it out. So it was just really, really neat to be a part of that. And then the whole weekend just kept carrying shakeout run after shakeout run and pop-up events all over the city. It's almost like the expo doesn't even exist because there's all these other things going on in Boston around that. And I got to be part of one of them on Sunday with Noon and Athletic Brewing and some other vendors. And that was really cool as people walked in and out of the different pop-ups. And And then Monday was just an all-day thing. Got in the city at like 10 o'clock and started cheering on the wheelchairs and the hand cyclists, and then the elites go flying by. And then you're there until 5, 6 o'clock at night when people who are in their 5th, 6th, 7th hour, and it was brutally hot, and most of the people don't get to train for that type of weather in this type of year. So I have a bigger belief in what I did believe in before, is that indoor treadmill training means a lot, especially if you live in a colder climate. That is the one way that you can guarantee yourself a little bit more heat training and turn those dehumidifiers off, turn those fans off, and get a session or 2 in a week on the treadmill.
Yeah, absolutely. How I do a lot of it, because it is actually snowing today. So.
I'm preaching to the choir, I know.
Oh, man. No, it sounds like an awesome time over there.
Yeah, really, really fun weekend, and excited to get back to my own training. I actually got a good run in Monday night when I got home for 6 miles, and then yesterday I was just like exhausted. And I was like, I texted my coach, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do some mobility stuff, but I need to take a day off and then get back into it. We've got 5.5 weeks before my next 70.3. So nice little build we're back into. And then we find out SuperTri decides to drop a sprint and Olympic distance event right here in Boston. So
yeah,
got another event to add to my calendar for August 18th. So we're going to decide sprint or Olympic. Maybe we'll leave that up to the listeners to vote for.
There we go. See what they say to go for. Love it.
Yeah. How about you? How was all your week? I mean, I thought I had a lot to go, but you trumped me there too.
Man, it was definitely a crazy but awesome week. Doing some contract work with Cycling Canada through this event they had the weekend, the Tissot UCI Track Nations Cup. It was the 3rd round of racing, so the last shot for these track cycling athletes to get Olympic points and qualifications. So it's very cool to be behind the scenes and be a part of making that event happen on the media and digital content side of things. But when you're working with these race organizers and event weeks, it's kind of a case of everyone just gets pulled in to make things like this happen, and ended up being 12 to 15 hour days on site at the velodrome from Monday, went straight from the airport to the velodrome. And yeah, some very long hours. It was entertaining, but man, was I exhausted when I got back. The day after I got back, I slept on the plane and then slept 11 and a half hours that night. I was just cooked, but got to meet some really cool athletes, some really great media outlets, met a name that a lot of triathletes will recognize, with Kevin McKinnon, who writes for Triathlete magazine. So it was fun to kind of geek out with him about triathlon in the midst of a cycling event. And I got to try out the velodrome, which was so much fun on a track bike. Things I didn't know. Track bikes, well, 1, they have no brakes. 2, if you stop pedaling, the back wheel stops moving. So you have to keep pedaling always, or else you'll go head over handlebars, which is not fun. And usually they do like a whole try the track thing to get up to speed and teach you how to use everything. They weren't going to do that for the team until the Monday, and I was flying out that morning, so got to get a little time on the track with a couple team members. The only problem was that meant I didn't get any instruction from the instructors, and basically had one of my coworkers say, "You know how to ride a bike. Just don't stop pedaling. You'll be fine."
And it's single gear, right? Is it a fixed gear?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was kind of like getting up and going wasn't too bad, and it was so much fun to get up to the top of the velodrome and kind of those bank corners and bomb down it. But I was going for a while, and I realized I don't know how to stop. Like, there are no brakes on this.
There's no brakes on them, yeah.
So I was like, wait a second, how do I? So basically, because the back wheel is connected right to the gear, you just have to kind of put pressure against it and kind of slow down and stuff. But it was crazy. Those bank corners, it's a 42-degree incline.
That's
on
crazy.
that. And just going up to the top and bombing down. It's so
slingshot down.
It was an absolute blast there. And then, yeah, we had some great Canadian results with some surprise qualifications for spots for the game. So that was very cool to see. But It was just such a neat atmosphere. The whole infield of the velodrome, we had 300 athletes from 50 different nations, all competing kind of in this world-class race to try to get to the Paris 2024 games. So it was, just a blast to be a part of, though. I was pretty good at getting some double run days in early. By the end of the weekend, it was survival mode.
Yeah.
couple skip workouts there, we'll say.
Yeah, I mean, you can only stay hydrated and stay ahead of everything you need so much in those types of environments. And it's like it catches up to you. Just standing on your feet's a lot. And you realize that. And that's what hit me on Tuesday when I was like, no, can't do it. So, yeah, I feel for you. But sounds like you had an awesome trip and successful trip. And it's just kind of like those eye-opening moments, like these people are crazy next level athletes. And then you get to test it out. And for anyone who hasn't, the velodrome and that technology and the bikes are completely different. There's no DI2, there's no shifting, there's no mechanical. It's just go.
Just power, and some crazy big plates on some of these. Like the power these athletes are putting out is insane. And well, got some heat training, speaking of which. It's like between 25 to 28 degrees Celsius, which is toasty in there, and high humidity. So definitely it got a bit of that heat training as well. Overall, it was just a very cool experience. And now I understand track cycling a little bit better. They have some bizarre but awesome events. One of them, it's like roller derby on wheels. They're in a peloton and they grab one athlete and fling them forward, fling their teammate forward. It was crazy.
And I knew they had like the team pursuit and that type of stuff. And is that what, like, I had never seen that though. Like I literally texted Jenna. I was like, that's like freaking roller derby. That's the only time I've ever seen anyone grab hands and toss somebody.
It's so crazy. It was the Madison, it's called. And basically you got two athletes from the same nation, and one is racing and the other one is kind of resting in between. But to tag off, they grab each other's hands and fling the next person racing. And then they have this other one, the Keulen, where they ride behind a motorcycle on the velodrome to get up to crazy speeds, and then they start racing. It just, man, I want to know how that Madison one got started though. Like who was like, let's just, in a group of cyclists all tightly packed together, fling each other across.
This is safe.
Seems like a great idea.
I'll have to message Christian Vandeveld now that he's back in Peloton as an instructor again, and he's been responsive to some of my messages. I'll have to ask him about that one.
Oh, totally. It was absolutely crazy. And then we saw someone who was part of Sub 7, Sub 8, Dan Bingham, was out there racing with the British team, and they absolutely destroyed everyone, which is no surprise when you look at the crazy aerodynamics with their team in there. It was like they were next level to everyone else. So that'll be exciting to watch at the Olympics too.
What, I mean, speaking of like the aerodynamics and stuff like that, was there like crazy suits that they're wearing, like the helmets? Like how does that compare to some of the stuff you've seen in triathlon and all that? Like just give people a picture of that.
You know what? I would say you see more of it in triathlon overall because there is so much drafting. Like all of these events, there's a lot of drafting in there. And there's the consideration of the temperature in the velodrome as well. So you definitely see some aero helmets. You see some fast suits, but all of them are wearing their nation's sponsored suits. So you don't see a ton of variety there. You see some toe covers, but really I'd say triathletes go a lot more hardcore about it. You're not going to see any aero cap sleeves going on. But I think they have their yeah. You see some very aggressive positions because they don't have to run afterwards. So that's cool to see. But there are so many restrictions with the UCI that there's not a ton of room to play around. We're definitely a lot more free to do that in the triathlon world. Yeah.
Everyone definitely looks the same.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they even have restrictions on where your body position is, how far, like forward or back your seat post is. Like they make it complicated for sure. But we had some triathlon racing this weekend. I was hoping Fede would be on here to do a recap of the weekend's racing. We can give a bit of a rundown here. We had the T100 in Singapore going on. And speaking of heat, there were some crazy temperatures in Singapore, both in the water and on the land. And we started off with the women's race. We had, I will say they did better with the broadcast than Miami. But still, didn't seem to be quite on par with actually what they've done in Singapore in the past. They're missing a lot of information out there. You know, they say there were some complications with the heat, but I remember they're having like segments and like seeing who was fastest around different segments before, and they didn't do that. They started to get a little bit more like heart rate data on there and some splits, but it still just didn't seem to be kind of what I was expecting. Naryn says it's their first couple of races, let them ease into it, but it's the PTO. It's not their first couple races. They've done this on this course before. So I don't know, definitely a step up from Miami, but it was pretty good. Pretty good.
Well, I mean, I happened to stay up because my wife was doing it was her 1-year anniversary of her ACL surgery. She's like, so I'm going to go on the treadmill and I'm going to run my longest run ever. And I think she did 16 miles. So by the time she was done, it was like midnight, 1:00 in the morning here. And I was like, well, the race starts at 2 Eastern Standard Time. So I was like, all right, I'm going to stay up. I don't have anything oh wait, no, I have a takeout run to get to, but whatever. So I actually stayed up and watched most of it live. And it was just very, very similar to Miami in the swim. Lucy and Lucy on the swim. And here they come. 1-2 again. And I thought Lucy Charles was in a different mindset to this race. So I thought she was actually going to stay out front and kind of hold on to this. But Ash Gentle was down a decent bit, a couple minutes coming out of the swim. So she had a lot of room to make up. And Lucy was pushing hard on the bike. So she knew she needed to get away from her, and I don't think she ever really did. And by the time they got to the run, I think Ash had that mentality that she typically has in the 100s, and she knew she had room, and those conditions are brutal. And it's amazing how they have adjusted, though, from Miami to Singapore. I think if there wasn't Miami in the conditions it was before Singapore would have been an even bigger mess.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Because that strategy of packing ice in your shoulders coming out of the swim and out of the bike, and they were very much ahead of where they were a few weeks ago in Miami in terms of being prepared and trying to heat train and things like that. I think they're also all relieved that these 2 races are over.
Definitely.
And ready to go forward. But we had Lucy Charles in second again for the second race in a row. Is kind of, we got a little theme going here with the men and the women for second place. But Ash Gentle, as she does, the T100 queen, comes out of no racing yet this year to cobwebs dusted off and boom, right to the front on that run, and just a killer run in those conditions. And followed up by Els Visser. I mean, man, she had a heck of a race coming from the back and moving her way up. And another thing for these swimmers who can't swim, coming back through the bike and up on the run in these races. And she even referenced Lionel and Sam in her post-race talks, and they're all kind of rallying around each other. But those conditions got to a lot of people. We saw some rough go for Chelsea, Indy Lee, DNF. So there was a struggle at the back of the pack for sure. And it seems like these guys are all ready to move on to San Francisco and beyond going forward. They'll take all the climbing, whatever you want to throw at us. I mean, sharks in the San Francisco Bay. Better than sweating while you're walking your bike to transition.
All those conditions are brutal. I've raced in them, and it's absolutely next level. It affects you exactly. You're walking your bike in and dripping with sweat the entire time, and that definitely changes up the race quite a bit, because it's not about being a fast runner. It's just about keeping your body in line for the entire day, because it's a war of attrition at the end of the day. Like, you can be the fastest runner in the world, but if you are not prepared for those conditions, and you know what, like Ashley Gentle, she's training in Australia, somewhere that's very hot and humid where she is. So she's definitely in the right conditions to get it done. But shout out to Lucy Buckingham, like pasty redhead getting it done in the hot temperatures. That was wicked to see. It was kind of funny on the broadcast. Her partner was like, I want to tell her just to calm down. Like, it's hard conditions for her. Like,
and we found out recently too that she was sick in Miami. So I mean, imagine what she probably could have done in Miami if she had been feeling better there coming out of the swim, as she's going to in most of these 100s. It's going to be the two of them up front, really leading the way.
Again.
Yeah.
That was cool to see. Yeah, Lucy Charles Barclay, she's got to be the queen of second place now. Like in Kona, she had that hanging on her back the entire time, and now coming into the T100. And I think it's almost worse that it's not the same athlete ahead of her every time. Like it would be easier, I think, to accept if it's the same person always beating you. But just every some comes in and just
but in the back of her head, this is what happened in Kona, right? I mean, she beat everyone who had beat her previously at Kona, and almost like right behind her. So when she gets to the grand final this year, maybe she's 1 and Ash is 2 and Indy Lee's 3 and everyone that's gotten her all along the way, and she wins the grand finale, then a whole bunch of seconds and a first there might get her the season championship too. So it'll be interesting to see going forward how they all strategically play this. Now, Lucy's happy with the 2 seconds. Problem is she's done the 2 hardest races, and she might want to take some off, and she probably will, or at least one of them off. So the top 3 results going into the grand finale are what you get your points for, right? So it'll be interesting to see which ones she tries to win going forward, and seeing where she can get a better result than the top 2. But look, Ash jumps in and gets the 35 points and immediately moves right to the top of the standings, because there aren't many people that had good results in both Miami and Singapore. And now you got Chelsea's got 0 with 1 start. Indy Lee went from 35 to still 35 because she DNF'd. Rebecca Clark, what a swim she had, and she dropped all the way to 16th. So that swim alone, it would be interesting to see what the heart rates were coming out of the first Aussie exit and coming out into T1 because of the water temperature. It's not like you're in the water cooling yourself down, and they weren't swimming slow.
No, absolutely insane. But it's definitely a fun race to watch, and it's nice when we kind of have those battles. Although, it would have been cool if there was a sprint finish at the end between the 2 of them. I think Ashley Gentle still would have taken it there, but it was just enough drama and distance between them that kind of kept it interesting and made sure there was a bit of a battle in there, which made it a lot more entertaining to watch. And then we had the men's results. So, shock of the season in there, I think. I don't think a lot of people expected one of the wild cards to go in and take the win here, with Yuri Keulen taking the win. He, I think, surprised a lot of people, especially before he'd been kind of accused of not being a strong cyclist and doing a lot of wheel sucking in previous events there. So for him to go off the front and just make his mark on this event, especially in that heat, to drop everyone in the field on the bike was seriously impressive. You definitely saw, if anyone watched, there was an Instagram reel where they show him at the finish line, and he just looks cooked, like almost scary cooked. So he got pulled off to the hospital right away. Yeah. Luckily, it sounds like he's fine, but he definitely left everything out there. And then, like you said, we had Sam Long in second place again, seeing a trend coming straight from Oceanside, heading over to Singapore. With Sam, I wonder if he hadn't done Oceanside, would he have taken that win? Because that travel and doing a 70.3, that has to have some
2,800 miles of travel and like 18 hours of flying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely insane. And then we had Peter Heinrich, who showed that it was not just a one-off with his result here last year, getting it done in third place. I don't think anyone would have called that podium. Sam Long, I think a few of us thought would be up there, but outside of that, it was unreal. And even David McNamee running up into fourth, Kyle Smith in fifth. It definitely was not the race we expected.
No, not at all. And the heat was a huge factor. I think this is the one where we had our little side bet on how many would finish. Yes. And Jenna stole my 13, so I went with 14. And we ended up having 15 finishers. So.
Hey. Well done. I think that was Fede's guess. Or
Fede was like all 20.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, he was out.
So he lost right there when Magnus pulled out, and there was only 19 that started. Which, I mean, that was a huge factor early on in the week. And I mean, yeah, crashed on Tuesday when he got there. And kudos to Magus. I mean, he stuck around. There was a whole bunch of social media posts about the extracurricular activities that they're doing with the local school kids and things like that. And there's Magnus with his wrist guard on and hanging out. He and Lucy doing stuff. So that was cool. You guys were right on my Sam Laidlow pick that I was crazy for picking somebody who doesn't really have it all in. Well, he definitely pulled out and bonked again and just wasn't feeling well, got sick. So Alistair got injured, it looks like, potentially on the run. So a lot of them got to the run. Sam kind of pulled off right off the bike and didn't even finish the bike. So Ben Canute pulled out again on the run. And then there's Sam Long running a 104, 2.5 minutes clear of anyone else on the run in those conditions. So, I mean, and Yuri,
the heat for a big guy, like he just gets it done in the heat. It's not
and looks good doing it. Like he finished that race and they're like, Jan's like, okay, you can keep going. Everyone else is dead. He runs 2.5 minutes faster than anyone else, like way faster than most of the field. But 2 minutes clear of Peter and 1.5 minutes clear of Yuri. Now Yuri was toast, dead. Like Jenna said, that reel was kind of scary at the same point. I mean, he's asking somebody to like grab his hand and so he could feel his heart rate at the end. And everyone finishing was getting ice dumped on them and water dumped on them. But it's also interesting because you talk about Yuri being a surprise and obviously as a wild card, and there were a lot of wild cards in Singapore, especially on the female side. But the wild card, he had posted recently, I think he had updated it after Miami, his progression in some of these PTO races and his results and coming from like 30th to 15th to 11th to 4th. And it's like, well, the natural progression was podium, maybe not first, but I mean, his progression's been crazy and it's scary. Some of the posts recently talking about the training that he's been doing and the heat training, and he's on a path now where, okay, do you give him a contract? Does he get a Javi Gomez contract? Like, how do they handle the Javi Gomez situation? And okay, well, that doesn't help Mark Dubrick in San Francisco getting a wild card spot. So how does it all work out? And I think this is one of the big questions for the PTO is how do they handle who they pick for wild card spots? Because Josh Amberger happened to be there, so he got one. I don't know if he would have gotten one if he wasn't there. And we talked about that. We joked about that. They didn't even replace Magnus. So we had 19 men start. We didn't have 20.
Yeah, no, definitely. You got to think they give him a contract. Like, he's leading the series right now, which is crazy. Yeah. Although there's a bit of controversy around him too. I don't know if you heard about the controversy with his coach in there.
So I did hear some of it. I didn't have a chance to read fully up on it, so I'm not one to be able to speak about it yet. I don't want to just really not know enough about it and then start.
Totally fair.
Yeah. So what are your takes on it?
It just, I don't think it's good when athletes in a sport that we want to believe is clean align themselves with coaches who potentially have been involved in dirty sport before. So his coach was involved with a team that was banned from the Olympics because of doping and a widespread doping operation by their federation with Russia. So and
the rise to the top in a very short time.
It's hard to believe that everyone in this coach's team was doping and he had no idea or no involvement in it. So obviously we don't know for sure. He was never accused of anything, so it is all hearsay. But it does make me feel warm and fuzzy to hear a coach of like a triathlete was involved with that. And it kind of makes me question an athlete that would go to a coach like that, right? But it's all, like I said, it's all speculation and hearsay in there. And you can definitely see that Yuri has been putting in the hard work and he's had a progression that's moving in the right direction over time. So I'm not by any means accusing anything out there. I just, from a PR perspective and athlete perspective, it just doesn't seem like a good idea.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the one thing we do know, especially coming out of Miami and physically hearing about the reports, like they're going right into the medical tent and getting tested. So they are getting tested after the event, but then we all know, like, well,
that's not when you do.
I think the request from the industry and from triathlon world is, well, how do we test these people outside of competition?
And right now there is no T100 testing outside of competition.
Right.
And the other thing that's kind of disappointing to see too is there's no drafting penalties. Like there was some drafting going on, especially in that men's race. Like you got Race Ranger right there showing red, and there was no one athlete doing it. But I think
you have bucket penalties.
Right? For not getting a swim skin in a bucket, you get a penalty. But for blatantly drafting, no one has ever gotten a penalty in a T100 or a PTO race ever. Now we have Race Rangers showing blatantly that they're within the draft zone, and it almost becomes this mob mentality where if everyone's doing it, it kind of becomes the norm, so everyone keeps doing it, which is not great. But now that we can see it, like before we're like, okay, it looks like they're too close. Now it's like solid red on Race Ranger, and you're like, okay, we know they're too close, but they've got a draft marshal right there, and no one's giving out penalties at all.
It's on TV. We've got coverage. I mean, we can all see this. I mean, in the women's race, at least like Lucy Buckingham went red a lot, and she would back off. And I think Jan even mentioned is like, you would think at this point she's going to try and overtake Lucy Charles Barkley at some point and maybe share the workload up front, because every time she had enough power to get close enough to the draft zone where she was turning red. And then you would literally physically see her stop pedaling. That was the only way she could get out of it. And okay, well, at one point, take the lead and see what that can do too. So, but I think that was a strategic play on her side where she didn't want to get out and do the extra work and
100%
in those conditions. But you could see at least she was getting out of the draft zone, whereas the guys were like, whatever. No one's docking me for this.
No one's stopping me. No one's doing anything. You're just like, okay, come on, guys. Like,
and the crazy part about Yuri's race, I mean, from start to finish too, but the bike, he had a trail of like 8 or 9 guys trying to catch him, and they couldn't.
Oh yeah.
And typically, when you got 8 or 9 guys in a trail, they're going to make up time on you, and we see that in the Tour de France and all of the road race cycling all the time. But these 8, 9 people couldn't catch him. He was just getting away, and there was no catching him on the run either, because he still threw down an amazing run as well.
Yeah, he held it together there. It was very cool. One thing I will say about these races is the Jan Frodeno edition is epic. He is great at this. So many times we see ex-pro athletes come in as these commentators, and they're just not great. Jan is like, he's like just good at it. Is there anything this guy isn't good at? Because he's like, he's personable, he's honest, he cops to it.
He has a good vocabulary.
Totally. But like, he calls Jack out when he doesn't think he's right. He cops to it when he's wrong. He's not like, there seems to be no ego associated with it. And it was really, cool to see the comments from Jan when Alistair had to pull off. Like, they were brutal rivals for years. And even he's like cheering him on and hoping for the best and stuff. Yeah. So I will say, one of the best commentators out there. He's been an incredible addition. I hope they keep him around on these.
I absolutely agree. And on the other side of the pulling out, he was not happy with the way Chelsea decided to back out of the race either. And he let everyone know that. He's like, look, you're having a bad day. You have bad training. We all have this. Get to the finish line.
Yeah.
And get through it and finish 18th, but get through it.
Yeah, kind of respect your competitors, respect the course, and don't just pull off by your hotel. Yeah, he didn't hold anything back. So I love it. It's so good.
But he has every right to say those things too.
Oh, totally. When it's coming from the GOAT, you can't really just say too much against him, for sure.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, I mean, it was an awesome weekend. It seems like everyone's psyched to be done. That's for sure. And
Yes.
the 2 heat races for now are in the past, and I don't think we'll have that type of temperature in San Francisco. That's for sure.
It could be like entirely the opposite with some rain and crazy winds and stuff. Who knows what that'll throw at them. So it'll definitely be an interesting race and see what difference it makes on with who's on top. Like, do we see an Ashley Gentle who's so incredible in the heat not respond well to the cold? I know athletes like Paula Finlay, she doesn't do well in the cold at all, even though she's Canadian, ironically. But
and she's not a big Alcatraz fan. That was like, she let Eric have that weekend.
Yeah, that was his deal.
Well, she's going to be doing St. George. So I think that might be something that will get her ready. So we'll see how that works out in her schedule. It's funny you mentioned Paul. I just watched their YouTube video, and one of the clips in the beginning of the video she was talking about, she's like, I feel good about this weekend. And they're just asking her how her vibe was. And she's like, as long as Taylor doesn't beat me by like 15 minutes. And they're like, oh no, it'll be more like 6. I was like, oh God, holy foreshadowing.
Right? You split the difference, and that's exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
But so here's now that I bring that up too, the other thing about that Taylor Knibb factor was her race. She won by 15 minutes, but it was nowhere near as good of times as there was the year before. So they were all really slow compared to typical Oceanside days, which I did not realize until I heard a different podcast, I think, talking about it. And it was like, yeah, she won by 15 minutes, but everyone else was 10 minutes slower than they were the years before too. So that was an interesting aspect to that race. But we did have another race this weekend too, which was super cool. Speaking of, and another former friend of the podcast redeeming himself, Mr. Chase McQueen.
Yeah, so
made sure he got the right tread this time.
Didn't do butterfly. So we had this SuperTri eSport World Championships in there, and I have to say this seemed to come out of nowhere. Really, it doesn't seem like there's much of a series kind of leading into it, and there's some solid names in there for sure, but it just all seems like kind of a weird format addition. It wasn't great to watch. Like, I am the biggest SuperTri, previously Super League fan. Like, I have been to their events. I absolutely love them. This was brutal to watch. Like, I tried to watch it on the treadmill, and they had no context, no information. They had some splits on screen, but they're usually a bit behind. Like, at least, so if you guys don't know, they do 3 rounds of racing with 200-meter swim, 4K bike, and a 1K run. And they mix it up in the finals with swim, bike, run, and then run, bike, swim, and then swim, bike, run with a pursuit start for the 3rd stage. So first of the line wins. And what they do is they swim in a pool, and then they hop on their bikes on Zwift, and then they hop onto Woodway treadmills on Zwift, which are all self-powered. So they have to get the treadmills up to speed. But what I found with the broadcast was you didn't know where they were. They didn't have countdowns of how much time or distance was left. They kind of crossed the finish line in Zwift, and you didn't really see that. You just see them jump off the treadmill. It's like, oh, they're done. Oh, okay. Like, it just...
It definitely seems like it's tailored towards the live audience. They're watching it, and they can see what's going on. It's probably up on all the screens, and you can see where everyone is. It's almost like
I was watching the screens in the background. They were seeing exactly what we were seeing. So they didn't even see what. So if you're there, you have even less idea what's going on because you can't hear the broadcast there. You just got the announcer on course. Like at least they're running, and they're running in Zwift. It's like you don't know how much distance is left. You don't, like, you can see their treadmill pace, but it's like, well, at least show us even the Zwift screen. Like, give us some context of where people are.
It's like if you go to a carnival and you're playing the water balloon or the water game with the racehorses. Like, at least I could see who's like, something like that.
That would be amazing. Give us some context. I want to love these, but it was not great, and kind of it just seems like this world championship kind of came out of nowhere. Now I know they're trying to get into the Olympics, want to show a format that it's more fun for that, but seeing the contrast between that World Cup that we saw within a stadium with athletes biking and running around the pool compared to this, it was not it. But we do have a few new world championships. You were talking about friend of the podcast, Chase McQueen. He definitely got redemption, and you could see he wanted this more than anyone else. And so if you guys didn't know, last year he says he got a treadmill that wasn't calibrated properly, was going slower than the others. So he just got fed up with the race, started doing like butterfly in the pool because he's like, screw it, I'm not going to win. So I'm just going to mess around here. He got a lot of flack for that from a number of people within the sport and around. So this time he came in, let it be known that he was going for the win and going hard for it. And I got to wonder how many times he got asked in that week about the previous years. They asked a bunch of times on the broadcast during the racing. So I can imagine that was the hot topic. But he just, from the start, went hard and got the job done. And he is the new esport world champion, which was very, very cool to see. Then we had Max Stapley in second and Maxime Weber Moosbrugger, I'm sure I pronounced that terribly, in third. Some of these names.
And it's so hard to break down the event too. The one cool part I did like was, like you said, the pursuit aspect of that final round where so Chase is in the pool way ahead of everyone else, and then the next person goes, and the next person goes. It's like the Super League outdoor event where you've got the timer letting them go. So very similar to that aspect of it. But once they get on the treadmill, like or on the bike,
You just have no concept of where they are.
no idea where anyone's making up ground.
Without the commentators, you would have zero idea what's going on whatsoever. And even still, you kind of barely have an idea. So that was unfortunate, but we had some competition and names we'll all recognize on the women's side of it. We have a newly crowned world champion with Beth Potter taking the win, with Cassandra Beaugrand in second and Katie Zaviris in third. And you know that Beth Potter and Cassandra Beaugrand would have been really eager to show one another up because they're both some of the favorites for the Olympics coming up soon here.
Yep.
And I think Beth Potter got a little shot in to showcase how strong she is right now. But the unfortunate part is it looks like Cassandra Beaugrand may have gotten a bit of a calf issue or injury. When you're gearing up to race the Olympics to do the esports championships and pull up with an injury, hopefully it's not something that sticks around, but ooh, that is brutal.
And you wonder about that format is not good. The starting and stopping and continuously going all day long like that is I mean, any coach is going to be like, what are you doing to yourself? So to do that with Paris, 100 days, I think today, 100 days out. I mean, getting close, and we'll talk about Paris and the news there. But yeah, that's unfortunate. And hopefully she's okay and ready to go for Paris. But you're going to start to see some of these athletes maybe react differently to their schedules going forward with these last few months.
Just wrap themselves in bubble wrap. But it was very cool to see Katie Zafiris getting a result at SuperTri. She was definitely the queen of Super League Triathlon back in the day, just dominating everything. And she's making her comeback after having her baby. So it's cool to see her back at it. But we also had some announcements with SuperTri announcing the rest of their season. It looks like there's going to be some great racing. And Josh, it sounds like you're getting lined up to be out there as well and see some of it go down.
We'll definitely see what we can do around the Boston event that kicks off the whole outdoor series for SuperTri this year. And we're going to make Mana a part of that. We just did our shakeout around the Boston Marathon. So looks like activation number 2 will be in August around SuperTri.
Yeah, so we got August 18th will be SuperTri Boston, August 25th, SuperTri Chicago, September 8th, SuperTri London, October 6th, SuperTri Toulouse, and November 3rd, SuperTri in Nyon. So it'll be very cool. Last year we had Leo Berger and Kate Watt as the individual winners, with the Eagles taking the team's title. So we'll see how that mixes up this year and what teams we have as well. So that's always fun racing. I really enjoy those races, like I said, and mixing up the formats, fast and furious pacing, and some good coverage. That's the key.
Really good coverage, and you know where everyone stands, and you know what's going on, and we can even do our own little sideline cheerleader and commentating on the coaching decisions on who gets the fast passes and all. What was Don thinking this time?
Right? No, much fun.
Very cool. And it'll also be really neat to see how far Neom has come in development in a year too, because last year it was just a bunch of sand piles and dump trucks, and we'll see how that new world is coming along too.
That is a very good call. Now let's talk about the social media world. Josh, what do you have for our social media post of the week?
Well, I think if you haven't seen it yet, you're going to definitely want to check it out. But Iron Memes _140.6 is a great account to follow. Anyways, I think they're the ones who put this out first. But if you haven't heard, there's been some issues around the water quality in Paris. And we talked about this before the Paris test event last year, and whether or not we were going to be able to swim in the triathlon in the Seine River. And they did. But they did have to cancel it for the para athletes and some of the other races. So water quality is still an issue. And now 100 days out, they're worried about that. So Iron Memes put up a awesome post about Prince Harry sitting in a chair in battle, turning around, looking at all his friends running around and saying, well, looks like Sam Long heard Paris is now going to be a duathlon, and he's going to try and qualify.
Like, let's go. Yo.
Yo is on his way to Paris in 100 days, apparently, for the duathlon in the Olympics.
Oh, that'll definitely change it up. As much as I love a duathlon, I want to see the Olympics be triathlon. That's the way it should be.
Hey, maybe they need to add a duathlon, and then we can get yo for 2028.
That would be awesome. He would. You know what? He likes to suffer. And duathlon is suffering at a whole nother level. We'll say that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny because my What the F moment of the week also has to do with water this week. My What the F is T100 series, both days being 0.1 under the limit for the whether they can run the race or not. Kind of have my suspicions. They were dumping some of that ice water in the water beforehand and sticking the thermometer right in to make sure they got just the right number.
Yeah, it sounds like they're going to be the same people in Paris too. Come
right
at the same time. Water quality passes by 0.01.
Yeah, just for the main race. Everything else,
right.
Like, no, it's not going to happen. So, a little sketchy there. One of the things with the T100 partnering up with World Triathlon is that they do have a lot to do abiding with their rules as well. So, World Triathlon has some rules around what temperature the water can be before the race technically needs to be canceled. And I have a feeling that nobody wanted that, especially, T100. So, they... made it work.
And it was interesting because I felt like the women's event, Lucy and Lucy went out pretty hard, and there was a huge gap that they created especially after the Aussie exit. Like it was an enormous gap. And so the broadcasters had talked about it, like you wouldn't expect them to go out as hard in the warmer temperatures, and Jan really explained what it does to your body, core temperature and things like that. And then I think the men's group ended up staying a little closer together, and maybe they learned from that from the ladies the day before. But it was definitely interesting. It definitely WTF that they were able to swim it all and swim the way they did and race it all. And thankfully Yuri is doing okay, because that was a scary moment at the end of that race. Talking about full send. But I'm glad everyone is doing okay after that race, because definitely a next level endurance sport finishing for sure.
Yeah, they definitely had to work for it. So some cooler temperatures ahead, and I have a feeling we're going to see some change-ups at the top of the race with, like you mentioned, some different trains and courses and setups. It's I'll be curious to see what that looks like afterwards, but I can't wait to see it. And we've got a few athletes who haven't done any of the T100 series yet, so they're going to have to be locked and loaded for the rest of the series with no wiggle room. You can't really have a bad day of mechanical sickness. That is going to make it challenging. So I'm surprised to see a few have held off until this point. Unfortunately, we do have to report with Javier Gomez. There was a lot of speculation with him pulling out of the race, and honestly, some terrible things were said by people with him kind of pulling out again. We were disappointed to hear he was pulling out, but it does turn out that it was a personal reason. His mom passed away, so our thoughts were with him and his family. That was very sad to hear, and definitely more important things than racing sometimes. So we hope him and his family are doing well. What that means for the series, we don't know, but more important things to take care of at the moment.
And it's another aspect and reminder that these people are human and they're going to miss races. And how is the T100 going to handle that type of a situation? Because it's not an injury and he's not letting his contract obligations down. Yeah. He's taking care of his family, which comes first. So, yeah, unfortunate to hear the reason behind that. And hopefully he's doing all right. And we'll be out there for San Francisco and we can maybe see that Javi, Alistair, but now we're dealing with Alistair and his recovery. So, but he's done 2 races. So he's not obligated to get to San Francisco as much as some of the others might be.
True. And he was left off of, I heard he was going to try to get that Ironman Texas spot, but he didn't get a spot because they closed the registration early. So it'll be curious to see what he does there, but hopefully he's back. Hopefully he's healthy and it's not something major again. We can see him racing in top form because Alcatraz, that race is made for like Alistair Brownlee. Yeah. Like, of all the course you could see, that could see him absolutely crushing that one. So hopefully he'll be in form and ready to fire there because that would be very fun to see.
Yeah, and I'm excited for Texas too because that start list is looking pretty epic. That was released today. I did see, speaking of injuries, it was sad because Elliot Bach has been really working hard to come back, and he just announced today that he's not going to make the start list. And after that car accident and getting hit by the truck, he made his way all the way back, was ready to go, and then rolled his ankle running in one of his last training runs before Texas. So it's like, hopefully he heals up. But man, those start lists in Texas are pretty epic as well. So Ironman's holding their own against the T100.
They definitely are. It's going to be an interesting showdown for sure. But that is us for this week. We will be back next week with some more fun. We'll have Fede jumping in. And we're going to hear another voice on here soon, helping us give some athlete advice. So if you guys do have questions for the podcast, for the coaches, send them in and we will do some more focused podcasts on that so that we can answer your questions and help you have your best race day out there, because we're all just triathlon geeks and live and breathe and love this sport. So we love to share that information as well. But as always, thank you, Josh, for joining me, and we will be back next week.